What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. On this video I'm going to show you how to fix the frame rail on this NB Miata.
Hyper Speed Media.
If you live in the rust bucket and you have an NB Miata, this is probably the most common thing that happens to an NB Miata. Of course, it's the frame rail. As you can see, it's fully rotted. And I got to get that fixed as soon as possible. I mounted my winch right on the front where it could potentially rip the whole front bumper and full front part of the car off when I'm using the winch. So I'm going off-roading soon, so I need to address this before I go off-roading. And it does have the rocker rust, which is right here. It's mostly for cosmetic. If I have time this week, I'll probably fix both if I have time. If not, I'm just going to focus on the frame rail. This is the other side, is rusted as hell. Mazda do sell the patch panel for this too, as well. And also you could get just sheet metals and bend it to make it work as well. So to make my life easier, I bought these pre-made CNC cut, and it does have a mounting holes for the sway bar as well. So it's just going to make it a lot easier to use this. So I'm going to use this to make a template out of it, and then to know where to cut on the frame, and then mount it on and weld it together. Okay, first thing first, I got to remove the bumper. So I got to remove my bash bar that I made, take off the light, the bumper. Then there's an inside bash bar, so it's actually two bash bar on there. And then the bumper itself, and maybe the fender, I'm not sure yet. And then also drain the fluid. So this is what I'm saying when I said I got an extra bash bar inside. So that bash bar inside is holding the winch together, and it's held on by these bumper plates right here. And I think what I'm going to do next is actually weld a piece that mounts right into the frame itself that holds onto the tow hook, so then it gets a better support on the frame itself. So you don't want to just pull your car just using this 4-point right here, because the frame is actually connected to the tow hook. So I'm going to weld some kind of piece right here. And also I need to disconnect the battery, because I don't know which one is positive or negative. I don't want to short nothing out. Okay, so now I got to remove the intake right here, get that out of the way, drain the fluid on the radiator, get that out of the way, take the hose out, and then also move the power steering reservoir, as well as removing the sway bar, which is underneath. That stuff has to come out, and I should have enough clearance to cut the frame out without worrying about damaging anything else. Okay, so while I'm here already, I might as well remove the AC system, which is down here. That way it gives me a little bit more access. And also I'm going to remove this as well on the line all the way to where the firewall is. So I'm going to remove all that. And also, this is part of the AC system relay. If you're removing the AC system anyway, you might as well remove this as well. You can cut it, disconnect it, whatever. So, and then the power steering, I'm going to just kind of move the reservoir out of the way, and maybe move the power steering out of the way so I could cut into the frame right there, and then re-weld it back together. And this is mostly everything that needed to come apart. Okay, so the next step, we have to remove this bracket right here that holds the radiator and the sway bar. And there's 4 bolts. There's 2 on this side, and then there's 2 on this side. 2 on this side also. And then there's actually, if you can, it's hard to see it, but right here on the top middle right here, there's actually a spot weld. So we have to drill and cut that out. And there's a special bit that you could buy right there, which is a spot weld bit. I'm going to use that to drill that out real quick, and then take those 4 bolts out. Okay, so there looks like there's another spot weld on the inside as well, so I'm going to do the same. Now we got to do the exact same thing on the other side, and then we can start cutting these panel and weld a new one in. Okay, so now it's time to start cutting. Grab yourself a white marker or a whiteout and the frame itself. I found the easiest way to mark where to cut is to use the passenger side frame onto the driver's side and kind of lined up the bolts on the bottom right here into the bolts where this lined up. And when you smash that in together, you could mark and trace the outline of this side. Once you're done with that, you could remove the frame and then start cutting. So it's only for the outer side. You have to do the same on the inner side. Okay, now you can see the cut line, which I marked from there. It's only for this side, so when I cut this out, I should have more room to kind of trace the other side and cut it and mark it, then cut it correctly. Okay, now to mark this side, I'm going to use the opposite side panel and mark where the cut is, or lined up where the cut is, which is right here. And now use a marker to mark it, trace it. Okay, now I can pry it down and then make a cut on this side right here. All right, so the passenger side is out. As you can see, I covered it with a welding blanket, and also I removed the alternator out of there to make room to actually cut. So now everything's out, and it's time to mount the new patch panel and tack weld it and weld it together. Okay, so here's the old crusty front frame rail. Look how bad it is. And there's the other side, just as bad. Now, before we install the patch panel, you want to spray some self-etching primer. You want to spray the inside of it so it never rusts again on both sides. Then what I'm going to do is push it in, hammer it in, whatever, squeeze it in as much as possible, tack weld some edge, and then if I like the position of where it's at, and then I'll go ahead and weld the whole piece in place. Now that I have the patch panel in place, I also tack weld it in place. Now what I'm going to do is weld the whole piece together. And next I'm going to just use self-etching primer and treat the whole metal on both sides, and then I'm going to apply some seam sealer, which is right here, on all the welds. Seam sealer kind of like fix any little imperfection on the weld so there won't be moisture in there. And now the seam seal is on. I kind of just use my finger. If you want it more neater than that, you could use 2 tapes on both sides and mask it out to make it nice and pretty. Since this is not a show car, it's an off-road car, it doesn't really matter. Also on the top strut tower brace right here, you want to kind of put seam seal as well. And this is how it looks on the other side. And once this is dry, you can paint it, finish it off to whatever color you desire. And now we can put the sway bar bracket back in place and tighten it down. There's 4 bolts. Now we're going to put on the radiator support bracket. Now you have to do the same on the other side. Okay, the car's back together. Now let's take a closer look at the front frame rail. As you can see, it's fully finished and it looks great. So the most important thing about this job, you have to make sure you weld it correctly and get in a solid, good weld so it doesn't damage the front frame in the future. All right, so that's it for this video. I hope you like it, and please don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.
ハイパースピードメディア